Right, greetings. This is Active Messiah with my first video on this channel, and I wanted to kick things off with talking about exclusive games and how they are essential to platform of your choosing when purchasing a new console, or at least to me it is, because I have no real preferences in terms of brands or platforms as long as the games are pretty awesome and mostly exclusive. I do not restrict myself to owning one platform to play games on, but I'm not impulsive at the same time. Now, let's begin with sharing what I own. I have a PS3, a brand new PC that I've just finished building, and the Sega Saturn that I actually still play to this day, believe it or not, which I enjoy very much. But in terms of next generation consoles, I have my eyes set on the Wii U. Mainly because of the exclusives, which goes without saying really, regardless of the state of Nintendo these days and what they're doing. But the exclusives coming out on that particular console, I just cannot ignore. And which leaves us with the other major two big names coming out soon, the PS4 and Xbox One. Now, we all saw at E3 and what happened, so I don't need to bore you with the details. So it's safe to say that despite me having no issues with Microsoft as a whole, I am not getting an Xbox One anytime soon. Even though the exclusives on there were held by most commentators as, to be far more interesting than the PS4. If they haven't gone and done what they did, chances, I would have been pre-ordering an Xbox One, to be honest. But by now, even though they flipped the switch and done a 180, I just can't forget the fact that I was, advised if I wanted an offline device, there's only one available. It's called the 360. Yep, quoted from Don Matrick himself. And just the fact that gamers were treated like shit during that period. And let's not forget about the whole hashtag deal with it malarkey from that twat. Forgot his name, who got fired because of that tweet. But yeah, I'm not going to go on into that. But you get the point. It doesn't matter if the games were great or not. If the console is not really a safe gaming device, that feels like that particular Switch might be flipped again in a couple of years' time. Yeah. But luckily for us, for most gamers, for most of us, the games coming out on the Xbox One are in majority multi-plat over the PS4 and the PC as well. I do own a PC, as I said, that I've just finished building. That is quite capable of playing next-gen games. So I have 3 sources of gaming devices, with the exception of one that I've just mentioned. So it doesn't feel like I'm really missing out, since some of the Xbox One's games will be on PC, such as, Titanfall comes to mind. I don't know, I'm not too sure about that game, but still. Yeah. So also, let's not forget about PC exclusives. The game you're watching right now is a PC exclusive. And it's because of games like this that I had to build a PC gaming rig for. Without it, chances are I wouldn't have had one, until further notice, really, until some other game would have forced me to do so. Anyway, point is that exclusive games give people reasons to own different consoles, because really they should all have something to offer that competitors don't, which is the reason why the line between Sony and Microsoft kind of got blurred during the PS3 360 era. This was during the time when I really noticed that there are hardly any exclusives anymore. All the games were coming out. All the games from third parties, at least, were being released on every capable platform that were able to play it, which is great. But this brings up kind of the topic of gaming identities at the same time on consoles. What I mean by this is, back in the Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, all the way up to the PS2, Xbox One, the first Xbox console, the games had a distinctive look without even knowing, you always knew what game was on which console. You knew when you saw a PlayStation game. You knew when you saw a Sega game. You knew when you kind of saw an Xbox game, particularly with the first Xbox. So they were so distinct, mainly because it was designed for that particular console in mind. Now, with this generation, with the PS3 and 360, as I said earlier, vast majority of those games are made for all, pretty much getting rid of identity altogether. The only console you see that on nowadays is on Nintendo. Basically, they alone have maintained that look that instantly tells you, yep, it's a Nintendo game, which is mainly the reason why I'm getting a Wii U, and it's in fact my first ever Nintendo purchase at the same time. It's almost amusing to read things like, and I quote, Nintendo should become third party and share their games. I mean, this is coming from people who are so used to getting multi-plat games, completely forgetting about the idea that if you like games on a particular console, you should get that console. You are doing a great disservice to yourself if you're not getting one because you hate the console or you hate the company or whatever. I mean, that's just is quite silly in my book. I mean, not getting a console in fear of you might get fucked over, in terms of the Xbox One, that is different from saying I hate this console, mine is the best, the one I support is the best. That's different. That's just, that's extremely childish attitude to have. In terms of the PlayStation 4, I like some of the stuff I saw in terms of the exclusives. Like, again, the Xbox One exclusives were a little bit more interesting. But, yeah, I'm stuck with the PS4, and So, but yeah, they were very interesting, and will most likely be the console to get in the future after I get the Wii U, of course, which I will be, I will have to wait a year or two for the PS4 like I did with the Wii U, because that's kind of what I do with consoles. In case you didn't know, the Wii U had tons of issues when it came out that were fixed in terms of slow loading screens, connectivity issues, etc. Yeah, and I'll be buying. I always buy things when they are good and ready, and yeah, so should you. But anyway, yeah, that's all I have for my first ever video. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'll be doing this weekly, and there are things, and if there are things coming up that needs addressing, that needs video, that needs a video for it, I will do so too. But until the next video, cheers. Thank you.